Thank you for tuning in to Andronetalks Radio, gathering as one in our sovereign truth from a galactic perspective, exploring our world with new ideas, knowledge, and a promise of a better future. Galactic discussions for galactic-minded people. Andronetalks.
So how can I help you?
I'm just after a general reading, please. I'm kind of at the start of my galactic journey, so trying to discover who I am. I don't have a lot of recall, but I have started to get more recall coming in. And I was watching a video of you and Peter recently, and he said a phrase, and I got triggered with visions. So I think it's time that we have a chat.
Can I ask what that phrase was and what was the images that you had?
Yeah, it was Master of Observers. And straight away, I saw myself on a private plane that was all kind of cream and white. But I felt comfortable, like I'd been on it before. And then it moved into lots of tunnel images as if I was observing the tunnels. And I started to ask questions. And then I started to ask... So I've got a little fascination at the moment about finding a trauma twin. I'm not sure why, it just keeps popping in, and I asked that question. And then I got as if a video changed and I saw two people walking down the tunnel. I also saw something that looked like I was watching a TV screen, and the people looked like they were from The Simpsons, but I knew that they were real people. Yeah. So that was a bit unusual. And I just generally, I got this feeling that I was just looking at all these different tunnel images. I'm not too sure. It came in very, very quickly, but it was as if a TV just went and just opened in my mind. And I've not had anything trigger me like that before. And then there was an interview you guys did with Brian, and I know Brian a little bit. We're in a group together. They were talking about a crystal, and I could see this crystal like a kaleidoscope, like I'm holding it on my chest. It was as if I could see it, like I knew what it was. Mm-hmm. And I've never had that before. Today, I've also had a weird experience today.
Okay.
Today I was in meditation, and I was visited by a black pyramid, and I didn't even know that was a thing. And so I've just been doing some research now, like while I was waiting, and yeah, so I feel like it potentially was inside, but I don't know. I didn't even know there was a black pyramid. So, but it was really, really clear in the vision, but it felt kind of smooth, and it was as if I was standing at the base of it, looking at it, but I felt like it was trying to tell me something. It was trying to talk to me. Yeah, so I don't know. So I generally don't remember much from my childhood, but I've had a few kind of readings with people. And I'm starting to get confirmations of things, like, you know, similar confirmations of things. So I just thought I'd see what you got, and if that, you know, helped at all. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you brought up the Black Pyramid, because years ago, I mean, I'm talking like 2015, I used to do a show on Wolf Spirit Radio, which is no longer active anymore. But there was a guy that was running it. And I did some shows. I did a lot of channeling at the time, the Andronicus transmissions. And during that time, he had encounters with the Black Pyramid. And he was able to recall and go into the pyramid and see that they were using it for some sometimes nefarious things. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, because I've done a little bit of research now, and this talks of Egypt, Antarctica, and Alaska, but I'm not sure if it's even on this planet. Alaska does feel quite a strong pull, to be honest, but I don't know. I've never seen a pyramid like that before. It's totally new to me. But most of this stuff is because I just don't have the kind of psionic recall yet. Little things are starting to come forward now. But yeah, so just interesting to see anything at all that you get kind of psychically, or I don't know really.
Well, I decided to do a little bit of research overview regarding the Black Pyramid that Julia mentioned. And just historically, there is a pyramid of Amenemhat III, or in Danshur. And that is, it doesn't look like exactly a Black Pyramid, but it is one of the 5 remaining pyramids of the original 11 pyramids in Dashur in Egypt, originally named Amenemhet is mighty. The pyramid earned the name Black Pyramid for its dark, decaying appearance as a rubble mound. The Black Pyramid was the first to house both the deceased pharaoh and his queens, and Jacques de Morgan, on French mission, began to excavate the pyramids in Dashur in 1892. So the question is this what she was looking at? I have a feeling not, but I thought we should bring this up anyhow. And we'll take another look at some of the images. Now, this one might be a little closer to what she was looking at, is this one in Alaska. There's a Black Pyramid. Here's an enormous basalt-covered monolith fashioned during the Pantheon Wars by Baradun. So this is a fandom site. And to her, it looked like it was from another planet. So let's head back. Apparently some people believe that this Black Pyramid, that it's hidden in Alaska, under the snow and the ice, and I've heard other people talk about this. So that's more likely of something that she might have seen, but it can, also be something off planet, as she mentioned. So, we have a lot of different types of imagery. Obviously other people have seen this before. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think that this is something that we've seen before, we've talked about before, and, obviously exists if more than one individual had seen it. And I highly doubt that she listened to any of our shows, our early shows. But, of course, anything's possible. But by her comment, she wasn't familiar with my information, my story. So I think that's something that we're dealing with. And there is something significant about this pyramid. Also, keep in mind that it could be a spacecraft. And one of those places where you go inside, like this one right here, it looks like it's levitating. And it is true that the capstones of the pyramid have been known to levitate off of the pyramid. I know this is a light hitting it, but you can see how it almost looks like the capstone is off, and many of the pyramids were missing their capstones. So could that actually be a vehicle? That too is a possibility. So here is an interesting short video that says the U.S. government employee exposes a secret alien pyramid, and the military investigates the Alaska's secret buried pyramid. So apparently there was a detonation of a nuclear device in China, according to this information, which then created a shockwave that revealed this Black Pyramid in Alaska. So, and I have confirmation from Peter the Insider that there are definitely ETs living in Alaska as well as Antarctica, and also grays. Zetas, tall grays, are very present in those locations. So that was the first thing that I saw, which I later found out that the Greys were there because I was always thinking Nordics, but he confirmed that the Greys were there. And here is the combination of the pyramid as well. So would it look like another place, another location if she saw it in Alaska? That's possible as well. So the discussion I had with Julia was around March 4th, 2025. This article was published about 10 months ago, and it's saying uncovering the mystery of the Alaska's Dark Pyramid. Story begins in 1989 with Doug Mochler, a counterintelligence officer stationed in Fort Richardson near Anchorage. While studying maps of the region, Mochler noticed a small area in Denali National Park labeled "Not Surveyed to Date." This peculiar omission piqued his curiosity, but it wasn't until 3 years later that the significance of this area would become apparent. In late 1992, Mochler claims to have witnessed a local news report about an Alaska nuclear detonation in China that sent shockwaves detectable in Alaska. The report allegedly revealed the existence of a massive underground pyramid larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza located in central Alaska. However, when Mochler attempted to follow up on the story, he found that all the traces of the report had vanished, and station employees denied its existence. The plot thickens with the accounts from other individuals, including Marty Johnson, an engineer who supposedly worked on the Dark Pyramid project in the late 1950s. Johnson described a top-secret facility accessed via an elevator shaft where he and other technicians were tasked with studying the mysterious structure. According to Johnson's son, the pyramid was capable of generating and distributing vast amounts of energy. Another piece of the puzzle comes from Lee Pearson, a veteran who claims to have visited a secret military base near Denali in 1978. Pearson's son, Bruce, later attempted to locate the site based on his father's description, hiring a pilot to survey the area. They reportedly discovered signs of human activity, including an old airstrip and road not present on any official maps. The story gained wider attention when investigative and journalist Linda Moulton Howe reported on it in 2012. Howe, known for her work on UFO phenomenon, collected testimonies from various sources, including remote viewers who claimed to have psychically observed the facility, similar to what Julia did, and also JP from Most Spirit Radio. The accounts paint a picture of bustling underground complex staffed by both humans and extraterrestrial beings, with the Dark Pyramid serving as an energy source for UFOs. So this is not, it doesn't sound like this is just a government project. Sounds like there were other things going on here. Proponents of the Dark Pyramid theory point to several factors that lend credence to the story. The Alaska Triangle is something that Peter has talked about extensively on a few of the shows, and how there are a lot of unexplained activity there. Where the pyramid here, they say the pyramid is allegedly located in this Alaska Triangle and is known for its high number of unexplained disappearances and UFO sightings. The region's remoteness and strategic importance during the Cold War make it a plausible location for covert military operations. Additionally, the concept of pyramids as energy generators has gained traction in some scientific circles, with theories proposing that structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza could have been used to harness electromagnetic energy. However, the skeptics argue that the evidence supports the Dark Pyramid's existence and largely anecdotal and circumstantial. Obviously, from a military perspective, this doesn't exist because they don't want anyone looking around. It's a military protected area. Critics point out inconsistencies of the timeline of events, such as discrepancies between the Mochler's account of the Chinese nuclear tests and historical records. The lack of physical evidence or corroborating witness from the alleged news broadcast also raises doubts. I mean, a lot of this stuff could easily be redacted or scrubbed. But furthermore, the involvement of remote viewing and claim of alien cooperation venture into territory many find difficult to accept without more substantial proof. And personally, even if they did have all that proof, they would probably, certain people would still deny it, because it is not something that they're willing to accept in our society at this time. Skeptics argue that the story may be a blend of misremembered events, and that's going on about giving credence or excuse for why people would not accept it. The key witnesses in the story have connections to military intelligence, a fact that both lends credibility to their accounts and raises questions about potential ulterior motives. The world of UFO research is no stranger to disinformation campaigns, and some researchers caution against accepting such testimonies at face value. So if you're wondering why we're discussing this and why I'm going so in depth in some of the research, is for this very reason. The truth is what matters. So is there or is there not a black pyramid? I believe there is. More than one person has talked about seeing it. The other part is there is evidence on the earth that there is such a phenomenon, that there is a pyramid here. I'll continue reading. The search for the Dark Pyramid continues to captivate imaginations, and then it's going on. Tragically, look at this, Campbell disappeared during his journey, adding another layer of mystery to the already complex narrative. So Nathan Campbell, who wanted to disclose this information, had military access and knowledge about this. A lot of the evidence seems to disappear, and so does he. And this is what we're up against. While the existence of massive alien-operated pyramid beneath Alaska's tundra may seem far-fetched, the story touches the deeper themes that resonate with many. The allure of hidden knowledge, the possibility of ancient technologies, the potential for extraterrestrial influence in human affairs. These areas challenge our understanding of history and our place in the universe, driving continued interest in the Dark Pyramid mystery. So, as technology advances and more of our planet's remote regions become accessible, perhaps one day, we'll uncover the truth behind this Alaska enigma. Until then, the Dark Pyramid will continue to fuel speculation, debate, and imaginations of those who dare to look beyond the accepted narrative of our world. I'm seeing, I had just had a quick vision of this two, looks like Zetas standing there next to you, and they have their hands open, and there were these little gray packets on the inside of their palms.
I have had a few weird experiences in the last couple of weeks, but one of them was like, I had like two interfaces with some kind of being, light being. One was like a blobby white being, but I was really conscious, I was really awake, and I saw it coming towards me. It overlaid on my body, and I was literally writhing around, but I felt good about it. And then a couple of days later, there was it was like I was in a dream state, and it was a person, but without a mouth. And we were like outside in this vision, and I was kind of saying to them, "Are you okay?" And then I kind of got the feeling that they wanted to telepathically interface, and it was as if they were trying to merge in, and I was like resisting a little bit, and it didn't feel the same. So I don't know about the Zetas too much. I don't have a lot of memory.
I know that they handed you something, so those two packets, I think, probably were data of some sort.
Okay.
Typically, I don't trust the Zetas because they're not. They get into a lot of stuff, and a lot of times they're primarily here for using our genetics for different things, because they can't procreate anymore. They're kind of like a Xerox copy of themselves. Their
Yeah.
genetics are all messed up. But they did give us some packets, so let me take a look and see what's in those packets.
Okay.
There's like a cobalt. I think it's related to radiation, and maybe they were testing you for your level of resistance to radiation.
That's actually really good. I've just spent the last 6 years working on a nuclear processing plant, and I just finished working there in December. And I made the decision to stop working there because I literally felt like I must be being targeted. I felt like I was getting hit with a really high dose. And while you're there, everyone says, oh, it's the same as being on an aeroplane, going on an international flight. It's nothing. But I always used to think, what if somebody scanned me? Would it be a high dose? Because I felt like I was just receiving loads of targeting, like from there and in my day-to-day. So that's actually quite comforting to know that somebody stepped in to check whether I've got a high dose or not.
It could be the reason why you're there is because why you work there is because they were trying to figure out how much how close you can get to like radiation exposure, and then they were able to then assess your genetics and then use you in other types of projects. So
I did have a session, and he was able to recover quite a lot of information about getting taken from 5 years old. He said that there's 10,000 clones of me, which sounds a lot. And apparently this is like MI5, MI6 are using these clones and outsourcing them across the planet and potentially off-world, because I've got some kind of overpowered healing ability is how he put it. But I just don't know if that's a thing. Like, if I can connect into these clones, why would they have so many clones of me? He said I've got Tuatha De Danann DNA, so I've got kind of that magical elven DNA. But I don't know at this point because I can't
I do agree with the clone part. I don't know about the elf DNA, but I do see that you have some kind of genetics that like I said, is something that they can work with.
Right.
And that they can use you for, some of these different projects.
Okay.
But the clone, I'll tell you what, I see Julia's everywhere for years.
Right. I have actually seen somebody that looks exactly like me in France. It was bizarre. My brother-in-law was like, look, it's you across the street. And it kind of made me feel really sick. And we were at Disneyland Paris. It made me feel so sick seeing that woman look just like me, but she had really dyed blonde hair, like really white, light hair. A bit kind of albino looking, but it was me. I knew it was me.
Yeah, probably what. That's probably why you felt sick, because you started getting close to another biological version of you, and it creates an anomaly.
Yeah. So I just don't understand why there'd be so many of me, though. Like, what are they doing with all these clones? And like saying that they're kind of underground, that they're in the bases. I don't know, like nurses or something. But yeah, it's a bit worrying, isn't it?
I don't know if they're necessarily underground. I think they're amongst us, to be honest with you.
Just out there, just looking like me. It's like that TV show Orphan Black, and there's loads of them. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. I used to get told, do you work in this nightclub and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, I don't work in the nightclub. And they're like, are you sure? Because she looks just like you, and that's in like the south of England, so that makes sense. Okay, so that's two plus confirmations on the clones then. That's great. Yeah, so I don't have like recollection from childhood. I have a few strange experiences, but nothing really that I can say that's a memory, or I know I was abducted or anything like that. I'm getting closer to recall, I think, but
I think that, well, I'm pretty sure that they use you as a handler in a lot of your scenarios. Because we'd be like, well, we're looking, and then who's Julia? You know, the name keeps on coming up. And so, and it could even be them. It could even be the Zetas walking around as if they're you.
Okay.
Which is makes it look like there's a nefarious side to you.
This is a weird question, but why are there so many short people? Why are we all like 5 foot? Have you noticed that pattern? I imagine that you're quite short as well.
No, I'm 5'6".
Are you? Okay, sorry. But there seems to be quite a lot of, like, when I look at people in the community, there's quite a lot of women who are short, who are like super soldiers or whatever. So I wonder if that was a thing, that we had like a special, you know, purpose because we were small.
You mean like you've met a lot of them that were like 5 foot and smaller?
I just kind of get this feeling that there must be loads of, like, a small little army of women. Is that silly?
Yeah, it could be that, you know, they get you at birth and they age and de-age you, and then sometimes that, you know, so like you're a child and then you're an adult, and you know what I mean? So it could be something like that.
So if I'm being used as a handler, do you think my own handler is a version of me? Like a clone of me? Yes.
Yes.
And when I did ask, like, I tried to ask my handler where they were, I actually got China a while back. So I don't know if that was just me or if that was a real
that sounds correct to me. That sounds right.
Okay.
Yes.
Gosh. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's these what do you call it? The SSP or the time travel programs, a lot of them came from China originally. And they're the ones who started doing the earliest experimentation in that area.
Okay. Because I've always been fascinated with Chinese culture and things like that as well. Since I was a kid, and where I live, there's a big Chinese community in the UK here. We've got our own Chinatown.
What part of England?
I'm near Liverpool. Yeah, in the northwest of England, near Liverpool.
We were just talking about Liverpool today.
Did you? I'm actually near quite a famous shipping yard, and I've been told that there is like an Arcturian ship cloaked near me, waiting for me to activate it. And I kind of wonder if it's in that shipping yard, which is about 500 meters from my house, or if it's in the Irish Sea. I don't know.
There was experimentations done there.
Yeah.
It created. It's definitely related to radiation as well.
Okay. Can you get a feeling for my radiation dose right now? Do I feel really radioactive or something?
No. I think that you don't have that effect.
Okay. Because I've been it's been 2 months now that I've been detoxing kind of away from that environment. Yeah, my colleagues couldn't understand why I felt like I was being hit by high radiation dose while I was there. They just thought I must be mad.
Just to see how much that you can take.
Yeah.
And then if you can take a whole lot, then you might end up in Chernobyl or some place where they want you to work.
Yeah. There was a particular room on that plant and everyone else thought it was fine. But as soon as I went in there, I knew something else was going on in that room, and it was just a laboratory. It wasn't anything. It's just testing or whatever done in there. But as soon as I walked in, my blood pressure and everything just really knew something else was going on. Couldn't explain it. Chernobyl, hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Orphan. I mean, I am picking up like Orphan Black with you.
Yeah. When I was watching that TV show years ago,
there's a man that's doing the same thing, and he's connected to you.
So is he like a handler, or is he like another? He's also cloned,
like, but it's a male version.
Is he my trauma twin?
If you want to call it, I don't know what. I know that there's a certain group of people that created this trauma twin teaching. I don't know. Yeah. Can you define what it means to you?
because I've heard people talk about that you're bonded with somebody really deeply so that you care about that person, but you have to watch them being tortured and they have to watch you being tortured. You get rewarded by spending time with that person. And I always wondered if there was something like that, but I didn't have a big emotional range. And it's only the last couple of years that I've started to really explore what emotions are and things like that. I've been very disconnected my whole life, kind of thing. And I just in my teens and my 20s, I was just full of rage, so much rage and things like that. And I don't know if it's just because I felt disconnected, or so I wonder, is there another person that knows me? Do you know what I mean? Is there somebody that knows me and we've been through things together?
Yeah, I don't see it as defined as that. I mean, I've worked a lot with the programs and with Peter, so he never has used that. Someone created that.
Yeah.
He never used that term because someone else brought it up to me before, and I'm like, well, what do you mean trauma twin? So, so let's go back to where possibly they got this from, is the teachings that Mengele had a fascination with biological twins.
Right.
And he would torture one and have the other one watch or even participate in it. I don't know. What I'm seeing in my labs is it's usually a group, not just a couple, you know, a male or female, or two females or two males necessarily working together and going through this whole twin thing if they're not twins.
Okay.
Technically, it's like a group of kids or something in these.
Can you get an idea of what I was used for? Is it time travel?
Yeah, you definitely, if you saw the crystal, you're in the IBIS program.
Oh, okay.
And that is the crystal, and that it enables you to time travel to whatever location.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. Do you think there was other programs, or mainly the IBIS?
Yeah, I'm sure that there are other programs. And also I saw Monarch and Montauk.
Yeah, I've just had confirmation recently of the Montauk, and I was obviously hoping that wasn't me. So I don't know if I was, because I had one flash vision a couple of years ago of me as a scientist, not on this planet though, potentially. So I wonder if I was actually a skilled person, or if I was somebody monitoring some others, or do you get a sense of...
you've been used, well, I mean, first as a subject, and then as a someone that is overseeing, or like a scientist.
Okay.
Do you know?
I'm not familiar with him personally, but I have seen some of his videos. Yeah, I just tried to watch the video that you and Peter did with.
What do you feel that you know him? Because I saw the two of you standing together.
Okay, I've only seen a few of his things, but there is a pull there, definitely. Yeah. And I really feel pulled towards Brian Seng. I don't know why. But there's definitely a remembrance there with Brian.
Through the Montauk.
Yeah. So me and like working together as partners, or
in the same place multiple times.
Okay.
Would
that be on like a team together then? Or
well, like I said, like, with you and I'm like I said, I don't know how to bring in this trauma twin thing, but if that's the terminology you want to use. But the Orphan Black, where there was that, it's a brother that is essentially going through the same thing.
Right. Do you think it's that one?
It possibly could be. I mean, we put out a video of him, and that we had to take it out because there was some sensitive information in there he didn't want the public to hear, so I had to, we have to re-upload it. And he is like, they have him time traveling, so he actually meets himself at all different ages. So he meets himself as being really young, and then older, and then elderly, and you know what I mean? So he has all these experiences, and I'm wondering if you're like, there was a female in that show, Dark. It's called Dark, and it's a German show.
So do you think I have like the German ties then?
Yes.
Like the Nazis?
Yeah.
Okay. It's always dead heavy, isn't it, when you get into this stuff?
Well, that's because of the Zetas. The Zetas have a strong connection to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to need to have a session with him, but he might not even find me familiar.
I think what you definitely should do is talk to Peter.
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah. So I don't know if I've been like really hidden, camouflaged.
Well, even though you're very new, I mean, if you're just opening up and remembering, Peter was around probably around 2016 or so. He was reading people's records, and then he stopped for years. So he just started doing it again.
Okay.
So this is, and I don't know how long he's going to do that for. So that's
no, I definitely,
because then later people will say, well, when's Peter going to do this again? And I won't know,
Yeah. 2 days ago, I was coming home from, I did college, so it was on Monday, and I was walking towards my apartment block, and there was a black helicopter flying over my house.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually did 2 laps over my house, and I managed to get a really rubbish photo of it. But when I was searching online, it was a black helicopter. So who do you think that was, potentially?
That's that probably were taking you out. They took you out without you didn't realize it, and then they bring you back.
Okay, so
helicopters are there it's government, like a very high level government ET combination, and they come and they will keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
And it's the TIRAP program. So you're a targeted individual.
Yeah, I've only just started in the last 6 months or so to realize that. And it's because I was sitting outside my house, and there was loads of seagulls. We have massive seagulls here because we're near, the river and everything, and the sea. And I heard this big bang, and I looked over, and a seagull had hit something that wasn't there above a street lamp. And the seagull literally shook itself off and then flew around something. And in my mind, I could see it was something that was square, but it was cloaked. And the seagulls all kind of reacted after that. They were like, what the hell is that? And that was the first time I thought, okay, I'm definitely targeted here. This is something else. I also had a year or so ago, I was camping in a field, and that day I'd had like a quantum healing session with somebody, and I was in York. I was far from where I normally stay. I'm in a field alone, and then I got so much negative wording coming into my head. It was male voices really saying horrible things, and I literally just stopped, and I was literally told them where to go, kind of thing. And then it was really weird because I must have released something, and then I guess I got people's attention. I don't know. So it's little things like that I started to think, okay, maybe I am a targeted individual, because you don't want to think you are. You just want to think that's just weird life, isn't it?
If you see the black helicopters, definitely you're a targeted individual.
And that's the first time I've seen it.
They get psychically attacked. Then they get psychically attacked, where exactly what you described. And I just talked to this one guy that he says they literally use like a scalar, and it connects to his brain, and then they're attacked. They're saying like horrible things to him, and those are the Zetas again.
Because I've woken up in the middle of the night, and I had this woman's voice saying to me, "You're hard-hearted," and I was like, "No, I'm not." Because I thought, oh my god, these are just radio waves that are being broadcast in the middle of the night around the planet, is what I thought. But it's not, I guess. It's just focused on me at that point. Yeah.
Did they say that you were hard-hearted?
Yeah, hard-hearted. Which is a bit odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I think it's like, you know, I try to be nice now, whereas I wasn't always. It was hard in my early years to be positive, to be nice and everything, and now that is my main business, is being spiritual, being, you know, putting myself forward in the community to support people. So I'm trying to be nice and, you know, be supportive, and so I think it's just they're just trying to come at me, make me insecure. Yeah.
Well, they'll harass you. It's really weird about the Greys or the Zetas. Like at one moment, it looks like they're helping you, and the next moment, you know, you can almost have Stockholm syndrome with them.
Yeah.
And the next moment, they're kind of psychologically torturing you for a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, that there's levels of the government too, and one other phenomenon that's happened before is that a person is actually talking to themselves, like a negative aspect of themselves, or maybe one of your clones.
Yeah. Also, I don't know about my alters. So I've had it confirmed there's definitely alters there, but I don't know how to interact with anything like that. But in my 20s, I used to kind of in the night, I'd have night terrors thinking that I was locked in a dungeon and that something else was taking over. And I used to think I must be a demon or something. But now I look back and think, okay, maybe there was just an altar taking over. And I actually lived near London in my 20s.
Think of it this: if you're in a My Lab scenario and you're being badly mistreated,
yeah,
at some point, you know, you can break. You know what I mean? You can just sort of lose it, and
so
then
do you think the altars are there to keep me safe, or have the altars been programmed to do work?
The altars, what they do is they break you, you know, and then they release you, and so that you will work with them to do nefarious things, so that they can, you know, handle you in some way, like Monarch or whatever other programs that they have. So that made me think of like the Monarch refugee group, you know, because they were caged.
Yeah.
So that's the merge.
Yeah.
So it's a Monarch umbrella group that's been rescued.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. That's great, but it's not great. Okay.
No, but it's sort of information that you kind of already knew, and I think you're looking to confirm some of it.
Yeah.
There's of course there's a lot of different pieces to it of what you've been doing.
Yeah.
I saw that you were used as a spy.
Okay.
And it looked like you were in like some kind of Saudi Arabia or one of those countries. And you got the you know, the black outfit and everything.
Yeah.
And you're walking around as if you're one of them.
I also lived in India for 10 years, and I wondered about that naval base that's in the British Indian territory. So I keep hearing people talking about, is it Diego Garcia? And then when I checked it on the map and I realized how close it was to India, it made me think, have I been there?
To Diego Garcia?
Yeah.
You look like you're a soldier as opposed to being imprisoned. A disciplinarian, okay. I heard.
Right.
Maybe one of your clones. It's crazy because you're able to pick up all this.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, say that again. What am I picking up? Like stuff that I'm tuning into, or
you're tuning into what your clones are doing.
Oh, so it's not even me physically, it's actually my clones are there. Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Are there. And then your clone,
Okay.
I just saw a clone in China. And then you are infiltrating Northern Korea.
Absolutely obsessed with Korea and Japan and China. Everything I'm watching on Instagram right now is about Japan and Korea. And it just keeps popping up more and more about the food over there and stuff like that. It's really weird. Northern Korea.
Have you ever been to any of those places?
No, I've only been to India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand is my favorite place, Australia, New Zealand, and a few places in Europe. So I've not consciously been to America or anything like that. I know I am connected to Stargate somehow, Stargate repair, portal technology, but I don't know how to do any of that. But I know there's a connection because I've always been fascinated by it. So people have started to confirm that there's a connection there. So, yeah. Okay, so it looks like I've got loads of clone spies then.
Your clones are really good because they're very good at lying, or posing as something else. Like they don't get nervous. They don't have like any guilt regarding it.
Right, I can understand the no guilt thing, but I'm just laden with anxiety all the time for the last few years. My anxiety is on overwhelm. So do you think I'm picking up aspects of the clones and that's why I'm feeling all this overwhelm?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I can understand, because even as a child, I didn't have an emotional range, and my family thought it was quite funny that I was a bit like Wednesday Addams, quite deadpan, but that's probably training with the Zetas then, isn't it? So, yeah. Okay.
You also have a lot of experience with all different types of people. So you don't have any boundaries of who you can and cannot talk to.
Yeah. See, I've started to develop social anxiety in the last few years of not liking to be around people in close quarters, but I'm comfortable doing lectures and things like that. So I do public speaking. I talk about crystals and wellness, access consciousness and things like that, but in close quarters, I get really overwhelmed with other people's energy. And it makes my body like really uncomfortable.
Because you're hypersensitive.
Yeah.
And because of some of the things that they did to you. Are you in a relationship?
I am married, but I've actually separated from my husband about 18 months ago. So it's just me and my son is very gifted, but very sovereign, but he's not aware of any of this kind of stuff. And my husband, because we met in India, I feel it was engineered, that relationship, when I look back on it. And
is he British or is he Indian?
He's Indian. Yeah. But I feel like he's been kind of targeted to be with me. We got together very, very quickly. We've been together 20 years practically. But the relationship was very controlling in certain ways and not a good relationship. So I had a bit of a meltdown 18 months ago and just had to completely cut off. And while I try and figure out what's going on with my energy and all this kind of stuff, so potentially looking to get a divorce in the future because we've had very separate lives for a long time. So, which makes me think that there's something else going on there. And then he was also, he's worried about my psychic abilities that I've been developing in the last 5 years. So I think it scares him. So, yeah.
Yep. Well, I don't know why. I mean, I think people from India are somewhat open to things that are going on, in their spirituality.
So yeah, he's not like that at all. Not at all. So I think there's an element of him that's controlled to make me move away from accessing this skill set, this information, to keep me kind of away from it. to make things as difficult as possible when I tried to start my spiritual business. Just felt like he was roadblocking me at every turn, making things harder than they needed to be. That's how it felt like. There was a resistance there. And so I'd opened up my own business and everything, and there was just no support at all. So I actually wonder if there's mind control there on his part that he's unaware of. And he drinks a lot. So I actually did an access bar session on him. I'm not sure if you're aware of access consciousness, when you touch the head, 32 points on the head. And I very rarely got to do that with him, but I accessed the bars points on his head, which is generally meant to dissipate electrical charge in the body and, overwhelm in all areas of your life. But when I kind of connected in, I saw spiders in his mind. And it really worried me. I'd never seen anything like that before, but there was definitely some kind of implanted tech in there, non-organic. So then I started to try and extract, because I didn't know what else to do with that. But he's still very kind of set in his own ways and very resistant to the kind of work that I do as a spiritual person, which is weird, right? But there was something in there. So I did try and do healing. I did try and run like release programs there, but I don't know. There's something else going on. And I got to a point where I thought, I'm going to have to separate here for the good of both of us, because I just couldn't explain to him what I was going through, being targeted, and him dismissing everything. So I have arthritis in my body, in my feet, in my ankles, and it feels like there's a button and somebody presses it, and it just sends me into terrible pain and things like that. And he just wasn't supportive about it at all. There was like a dissociation about how I was feeling and stuff like that, like to a really weird point. So I did choose to separate, but I see it as it was a necessary step to try and save us both in a way, because he needed to kind of get his own mind back and not be used as a pawn to get to me. So I really think he was being manipulated and that he was unaware of it. But like the pain in my body, some days it's so overwhelming. And I even visited a local town a few months back. I was going to rent a hall to do an event the next day. And as soon as I got off the train, it was as if my right leg had just been targeted with a weapon. And there was so much pain in my right ankle that every step I took was excruciating pain. And I hobbled all through the town, did what I needed to do, got back on the train, managed to get home, and it took me like 5 hours of healing. It was as if I'd been hit with a direct energy weapon when I got off the train.
Probably so, yeah.
Yeah, it was just insane. It just came out of nowhere, and I nearly fell to the ground. It was that bad. And then I thought, what is going on? So I've been quite good for a while. So the pain comes and goes, and then every now and then it's so intense that I wonder. I mean, I'm actually waiting for a surgery on my ankle now, and that worries me, because I had injections in August. They put these steroid injections into the bone, and then that makes me think, what am I actually being injected with? Right, I'm putting myself in that situation where, other things could be put into the body, right? So I don't know. Yeah, there's like limitations.
Steroid. The thing with steroid, I have some friends that had to go through that, and it sort of covers over the problem, and then after a while, if you keep on doing it, you have other health issues. That's not even with the programs, just the steroid alone causes health issues. You might look into some natural remedies and some ways to deal with it, because targeted individuals do get hit out of nowhere, and they could be absolutely fine, and then your health is somehow compromised. So I keep on collecting different little things for different problems, natural remedies and so forth. And try my best to take care of my health, because a lot of times the worst part is when you're sleeping and they hit you when you're sleeping.
I don't really sleep. I feel like I'm always waking up. So I've just started to take these kind of flower rescue to see if that helps, but I don't know what happens at nighttime. I just feel like I'm waking up all the time. So I really don't sleep more than 4 hours. Something else is going on at night. I sleep a shungite around my bed. I sleep on a mattress on the floor now to try and avoid like EMF frequencies a bit more. Yeah.
It has the same problem. He doesn't sleep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what Peter said to him is that he needs to his rhythm, his body rhythm is out of sync. And he recommended Tibetan bowls and things like that.
Okay, I do work with crystal singing bowls and Tibetan bowls. I just need to start doing that more for me. I lost my hearing when I was pregnant, and that makes me avoid sound healing a little bit because I wear 2 hearing aids. But I was told by the doctors that I've got otosclerosis, so there's a little bone in the inner ear that doesn't vibrate. I kind of wonder if there's something else going on there as well, because my kind of spiritual healing kicked in a bit more. So I hear frequencies like people's body aura, I hear crystals, generally things around me sometimes. But the physical hearing is not there now, so I wear 2 hearing aids. So I've got about 20% of my hearing left. Do you think that's just a physical kind of hereditary issue, or is that something else?
It's probably due to some of their experimentations. It looks like they were pretty harsh on you.
Yeah.
And that hit, it could something like that where you got hit and your leg hurt, and I've seen that happen to other people as well. That that it's when they don't want you doing certain things.
Yeah.
It's like try to tame you like a whip,
Yeah. Is there any way I can stop these Zetas?
I think it's like I said, it's kind of working on your frequency because they're low vibrational.
Okay.
And if you go into a lower vibration, that they have more access to you.
Yeah.
But it's a combination too. Like the work that I do with people is not just giving them information about how to neutralize some of it. So
yeah.
Some of the things that I do is I'll tell people to disconnect from things, and I can give you one of my videos on how to disconnect from. You can disconnect from the Zetas. You can ask for autonomy from the clones, so that you don't have to experience what they're doing, and if they're doing anything bad, that you are not karmically picking it up, like pulling back anything that's yours.
Do you think that I can take the place of the clone?
In what way?
As in biolocate into the clone's body?
That might be very dangerous for you.
Okay. Because I've always had this thing since I was a kid that I should be able to teleport, and I got really frustrated that I couldn't do it. So I know there's an aspect of me that does do that kind of thing. So
you're already doing that. That's you don't need the clone to do that. The problem is it's like if you connect in with the clone, I don't know exactly what that will do, but it would definitely cause a problem for you.
Do you think the clones are generally all doing nefarious work, or are there any clones there that are like positive?
I think they're highly handled, and they're used in like areas of espionage and areas that are dangerous. Like a spying.
Do you think it's a problem that I'm on social media then?
I don't think no, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think, like I say, if you then integrate to their body, first of all, I don't know if it's going to be easy for you to come back. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's going to be like this, because it's almost like you connecting to you can create like serious illness, if not death.
Okay.
Like a doppelganger scenario is very dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to try and see through the clone's eyes or anything like that, because I'll probably lose myself.
It will get you into things, and then what they can do is, like, if there is a very bad entity around there, and they see you peeking through that person's eyes, they'll come and find you.
Okay.
Yes. It's like, trust me, I've seen quite a bit.
Okay.
They're not stupid. they can track things very easily, and so
Yeah.
you don't want to make it easy for them.
Okay. So a couple of years ago, I had an experience and I was doing some kind of quantum meditation training, but my mind just wandered off. And I found myself like a floating head, just like in a normal street, like there was a hairdresser's and a laundromat and that kind of thing. And I saw someone walking down the street that had these big dreadlocks. And then I realized that they weren't a person. They had these big kind of goggles, you know, like minions have. And I realized that they were some kind of entity. And I challenged them and I said, "You're not meant to be here." I came back into my body and I was aware of my room, and a massive plasma ball projected out of my chest and went out. And I asked him about this, and he was basically thinking that somebody else as well said maybe I reset the reality, or maybe I put that entity into a quarantine. What kind of idea did you get on that? So it's only happened to me once, that particular thing with the plasma.
That's the only you've never had that before, where the plasma ball came out of you?
No, never. It's only happened once.
I think you struck it like a weapon at him.
Okay. It was around the same time that I started to remote view, but it was unconsciously happening to me. So I go into a meditation and I found myself in some guy's house in California. And I'm like creeping through this house, and I see this person on the phone pacing back and forth, and he saw me. And it really bothered me that he could see me. How could he see me? Surely I'm in the astral or something. And I kind of pulled myself out, but then I started to fly over Canada, over lakes. And I was getting really kind of, anxious by this point, to get myself back into the body. And when I asked somebody about it at the time, they said, why be scared? Obviously, your guides are showing you what you're capable of. But that guy saw me. So I don't know if there's people kind of operating in these other realms as they're normal, or I was in a parallel. I don't know what that was.
I think you got set up. I don't think it was your guides that were sending you out. They were bringing you to show.
Okay.
These groups that are coming after you, where you are.
Okay. Oh, that's scary.
Because then that's where you get these hits, because then they found you. That's what I tell people. I've told people for years. I said, you better know what you're doing. I mean, you get fun and everything. You think you're remote viewing until something catches up to you. It's just like you sent that plasma out at that being, that who's to say he wasn't the one that hit you in the leg later. So you making enemies. Either you're a soldier and you're prepared to get into a battle and you're trained that way, but just a viewer is a dangerous game if there's nothing to back it.
It was subconscious. It just happened, and I wasn't prepared for it at all.
They did that. No, they definitely trick. I told you, this is the thing about the Zetas. They're tricky. Yeah, they're very tricky.
So they kind of activated me for something like that to happen, and I just wasn't prepared for it. Yes. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be prepared for that.
So not unless you're. It's different if you're on like a team. Yeah. And you're there to do a mission, but just to spy on people randomly is not the smartest thing at all.
No,
it really isn't.
Yeah. I mean, I do find myself drifting off a little bit more now, but I have more control to bring myself back. Yeah. It was when Peter said those words and I started to get flashes that changed everything for me. So I don't know what that phrase means, but there's some connection there to me and these observers for it to kind of activate.
They'll use anyone they can to go and remote view and get data. And you notice that they don't show up themselves. They'll use someone else to do it for a reason. And the Greys have nothing to be afraid of because they can move in and out of spaces. But there are certain, they could still get hurt too.
Yeah.
So they'll use humans to do their dirty work.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot to unpack, isn't it?
Well, it is, and there's a lot of uninformed people out there that think they know everything, and then they're teaching people that it's okay to do certain things, but they're not the ones that are going to get hurt in the end.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
And I'd rather tell someone, I can warn you, and you could say, that's bullshit, or you don't believe me, or whatever. But I at least warn you in my own conscience. I warn you that is a dangerous thing. A lot of people will just say, go ahead. You're learning, and it's not, it's their fault or whatever if they do anything. And no. I mean, you get hurt, you get hurt. I mean, it hurts.
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if I want to ask any more questions. Because it's quite
something
jarring.
to think about. It's something to think about.
Because all I have is questions. You see, I've got so many questions, and I have sessions with. She channels the Palladian guides and stuff like that, and I do. But they tell cosmic mother, and I've got thousands of children across the galaxy and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, oh wow, okay. So it's like, what do you do with this information once you've got it? Because I'm just like a regular person the majority of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
and there's more than one types of there's more than one type of Pleiadians too. There's some bad Pleiadians as well, very bad ones. So that you don't really know. I'm looking for. I was going to send you that file, and I will send that file to you.
Okay.
As soon as we hang up, and so that you can start to disconnect from things that you don't consent to. And as a sovereign being, as you are, you need to get more in the driver's seat rather than being vulnerable and taken to wherever they feel like sending you to. And that will prevent you from, ended up in the hospital or something later, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having some kind of illness.
Do you think they've just got loads of contracts there that maybe I consented to and I'm not like fully aware of what they are? And so they're just taking,
If there's a lot of contracts that you've made with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it takes usually you can find out that if there's a history of things happening that you had no consent over, you definitely made a contract with someone because they're taking you.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I try to teach people to be empowered, not to be a victim.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to be sent into all sorts of different places without our permission.
Okay. Is there any way I can get my army of clones on my side?
What I do is I don't know if you'll ever be able to do that because they were programmed to do certain things, very strongly, and it would be very hard for you to deprogram everything. What I would recommend is that you pull back any of your soul essence without any attachments and take that back. So then they become some other kind of biological that's not connected to you anymore.
Okay. So I really am like fractured 10,000 times into those clones.
I don't know how many times it is, but it's quite a few. And like I said, they're espionage and at least definitely, and also a handler. So you're handling other people. So you might have some people that wake up and that are furious that they've been handled by someone that looks like you. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You want to get out of those scenarios.
At the moment, I'm quite, I've been in the background for a long time and I'm only just starting to come forward. Nobody's recognized me or anything like that so far, so that's good. Because once people start to realize that I'm all over the world, then that's a different story, isn't it? Yeah.
There was a Julia that I saw years ago was in like a early Ford vehicle from the early 1900s, black vehicle, or maybe it was pre World War II Nazi,
Yeah.
And I was talking to this one woman, I was working with her, and she and I both saw it. And then the following day, literally that vehicle drove by her house.
Wow.
Literally drove by her house. And a woman turned and looked at her.
Yeah.
And she was sleep deprivation. She had a whole bunch of stuff. And we knew that woman's name was Julia, that was showing up around her house.
I've never liked my name. And now it's like my name is like a term for a clone or something.
You're not the only one that's been cloned, but yeah, it's definitely a program that they've picked up. And
it's like I think it's a particular model of clone now. It's called Julia.
I always say knowledge is power. So if you have the information, then you can decide, to change the dynamic, take back your personal power, stop being used as a puppet by them or whatever their agenda is, and that you never consented to it. And if you did, you didn't understand, because they usually, I've had them try to have me sign contracts in my sleep, like crazy stuff. Yeah. So it's very tricky. That's the thing with the Zetas, extremely tricky. Extremely. Yeah. I mean, they might not be the most cruel of some of the negative ETs, but in some ways they are very cruel, because you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hoping this helped you.
Yeah, no, it really did. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I've been trying to track you down for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll send you a message and see about connecting in with Peter as well.
All right.
Oh, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Andronetalks Radio. Join us on YouTube channel Jessica Arael Morocco, and visit our website at www.readingsbyarael.com.